This is Steampunk Star Raisin, AmberStreet.com, and I'm here with this gentleman, Tom Slater, the father of Christian Slater. You're an actor, composer,
Novelist.
and a novelist. Okay.
Got a
And
novel on Kindle.
You got a novel on Kindle. What's the name of your novel on Kindle?
The great American novel, Bloodbound, a masterpiece.
And you have a movie that you wanted to talk about.
Well, yes, I wanted to just talk about this movie that was an independent movie that was made in, was 79, because Christian was 10 years old at the time. And he watched this movie with me, and I was playing the hero of the movie. It was an independent movie made down in the South someplace. Will Zenz directed it, and it only took a week to do. But it's sort of kinky, you know, a little sexy. And but the point was that I was a hero in it. I went to to find my father's murderers. He was a truck driver also. It's called Truckin' Man, or Kelly's Run. And so I was Michael Hawkins at the time. I'm a big name-changing guy because to me, names are adjectives. So when I feel like a different kind of person, I change my name to fit the kind of person I am at that time. I was, christened Tom Slater, but I got sick and tired of that name. My father's name was Tom Slater. So I sort of ran away from the name, and curiously enough, anybody who succeeds, like my ex-wife Mary Jo Slater, who's now the most powerful person in show business, and Christian, of course, love the name. So it's ironic that because my name now is Michael de Gainsborough, and that's the title. I mean, that's the name I use in my novel on Kindle, and also the name that I used in the 4 movies I'm in.
When did you change your name to Michael de Gainsborough?
About in 1980.
In 1980.
So it's been,
a while ago.
it's been quite a while, but people are still in love with Michael Hawkins. They still can't believe that I still, when people talk about me on Google or Facebook or wherever, they always insist on calling me Michael Hawkins, because for some reason the guy who directed the Big Fat Greek Wedding, the first one, Joel Zwick, used to know me in New York, and we became good friends. So out here, when I'd been Michael de Gainsborough for a long time, why he said, "Oh, Michael Hawkins," my old buddy.
So you've got an acting credit as Michael Hawkins, and that's what you.
That's where I did all my soap operas. Okay, I did
like Ryan Soap.
With Ryan Soap and As the World Turns and Love's a Many Splendor thing, and I was the lead on those soap operas. But the thing is that that's sort of soap opera land. I wanted to graduate from that, and also I didn't like the name because, ironically, there's a black guy who is also on Google. Named Michael Hawkins. He's a black. He was grown up. He was.
Well, it sounds like a very common name.
Well, the thing is that, of course, Jack Hawkins is a very famous English actor, and he was also a famous pirate, along with Sir Alfred Drake, or not Sir Alfred Drake, but I forget the guy who went around the world. Anyway, I can't remember his first name, but anyway. John Hawkins, I think, was the pirate's name. Anyway, the thing is that I think that was an interruption to the fact that when Christian saw this movie, that Kelly's Run that I did, a while ago, or let's say back in '79, why it made an incredible impression upon him, because he said, my God, my father, can. First of all, he'd already sat on my lap and watched me do all the soap operas. And he would look at the screen, and then he'd say, "Daddy burned up, Daddy burned up," And I'd say, "Well, you see, son, that's just simply the character I'm playing, and that's what show business is about. I mean, you get into scrapes. It's sort of a cautionary tale."
So you introduced him to show business
exactly.
at an early age.
In other words, what I'm trying to get across is that you don't become Christian Slater by accident. In the same way that Liza Minnelli didn't become Liza Minnelli just, from the head of Zeus, her mother was Judy Garland, so it helps, to have people in the business. You don't become Michael Douglas unless your father is Kirk. So my point is that my son now thinks that he owes me nothing for the success that he's had. And my argument, of course, is that I'm responsible totally for his success because the proof is he has a half-brother who's in his 20s now, a different father, same evil mother, and that kid can't buy a job in children. So my contention is that that's proof that I am totally responsible, because if Mary Jo was responsible for Christian's success, then how come she can't make a star out of her second son, without me around? That's why I'm suing my son and my ex-wife for $30 million, and it's on its way. It's galloping along. It's been filed, and they've sent me their discovery and their reason for calling me every dirty name that Sigmund Freud ever came up with, so it's on its way, and I can't wait, because I want my days in court to prove that Mary Jo and Christian are lying bastards and ungrateful scum, and so that's
fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway, but in the meantime. The reason that I changed my name was a curious thing. Amityville Horror. The first Amityville Horror was directed by the guy who directed Cool Hand Luke. And so I auditioned for it, and I got a part in it. And I did a scene with Rod Steiger, and I was Michael Hawkins at the time. And Juliet Taylor, who does all the casting for Woody Allen, was casting this movie. And the movie came out, and my scene with Rod Steiger was on the cutting room floor. And it wasn't the reason why I changed my name to Michael Gainsborough from Michael Hawkins when I went to Hollywood. I think that movie was done on the East Coast anyway. But the amazing thing is that the moment I changed my name to Michael D. Gainsborough, and I put the D-E after I did the just plain D period, because the D began to look like an O, and I didn't want to be Michael O. Gainsborough, so that's why I changed it to D-E, Michael D. Gainsborough. Anyway, it has the rhythm of Laurence Olivier, which I always liked anyway.
So how many names total have you had? What
5.
Name? Okay, 5. So what was the first name you were born with?
I was born with Tom Knight Slater. I was christened with. Okay?
Oh, okay.
All right, that's my real name. That's my legal name. I've never changed my legal name. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I've just changed it in the unions. All right.
I got you.
I was Michael Hawkins.
Your stage name.
Well, in a sense, yeah, and also, of course, now my pen name for my novel. And anyway, the moment I changed my name to Michael D. Gainsborough, why I made Mommy Dearest. I'm in Mommy Dearest. I'm in Midnight Run with De Niro. And Mommy Dearest, of course, with Faye Dunaway, because I know you know nothing about movies, so I have to tell you who's in it.
I know about Mommy Dearest.
Oh, you did? Have you ever seen it?
Mommy Dearest. I've seen it, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, well, I've played one of the Pepsi executives who tells her that she can no longer be in the Pepsi Corporation, and she says, "Don't fuck with me, fellas. It ain't my first time at the rodeo." And so she says it right to me. It's one of the famous lines in movies. So I'm very excited that she said it to me. Anyway, then also I was in a movie called The Black Marble with Robert Foxworth, and I played Paula Prentice's lover in it. And let's see, what was the other one? Oh, Looker, directed and written by Michael Crichton, who was the original, the writer of Jurassic Park. That's the only movie that anybody really knows that Michael. You ever heard of Jurassic Park?
Yes,
okay.
I've seen it.
Oh, good. Well, anyway, Michael Crichton wrote the story that Steven Spielberg filmed, and he wrote this movie, Looker, and with Albert Finney and
I've seen Looker. That's almost like a precursor to what was going to happen in the future.
Yeah, that's right.
Digital CGI.
That's right.
Digital CGI.
You're the only person in the world who's ever seen it.
Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah. And
I like sci-fi. I'm big into sci-fi.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm not. But anyway, I have a fantastic role in it. It's my best role, and my favorite story about that is that I didn't like what Crichton had written for me to say. It wouldn't work for me, so I rewrote it. And so I I came in 3 days later with my version of what Crichton had written, and the script girl, began testing me to see whether I was going to do it correctly. And of course, when I began it, she saw that what I had, what I was saying was not on her page, and so she suddenly freaked out, and she went to tell Crichton, that this guy was going to screw your movie because he doesn't know the lines that you wrote. Anyway, but Crichton at that particular moment said, "Okay, let's shoot the scene." So I got up on my little desk there, and he had the camera just like you got it right there, and I did my version of what Michael Crichton had written. And at the end of what I did, Crichton said, "That was perfect. That's exactly right. I want to see it again. It was so good." That's my favorite Michael Crichton story.
I wanted to ask you about your relationship with your son, Christian Slater.
Yeah.
When's the last time you talked to him?
It was, I think, I went to New York to see him play Tom in the Glass Menagerie with Jessica Lange. And that's the last time, but really the last
What year
time,
was that, if you don't mind me
I
asking?
think it was in 80. I was out here.
So it was in like the late 80s.
I think it was.
So it's been that long since you've seen and talked to your son.
That's right. That's right. He disowned me, basically. And one of my favorite stories about him disowning me is that he was auditioning for the Kelly and Regis show. Remember when Regis left? She was auditioning new people.
Yeah, I think I vaguely
Okay, well, Michael
remember that.
Strahan now has the role, but anyway, Christian auditioned for the host, and while he was hosting, Ben Stiller was a guest on the show, and anyway, Stiller said to Christian, "Oh, I understand you were on Ryan's Hope." And Christian said, "Yeah, I had about a year's job on that thing. I really enjoyed it too. It was really good." And Ben Stiller said, "Yeah, I always liked that show." Never once mentioning that I was Ryan's Hope, that his old man was. So I knew then that my son had really washed his hands of me, and didn't want to even acknowledge that I existed.
So you think his ego got too big?
I believe that he's a legend in his own mind, and that he believes that he was created totally out of became fully grown out of Zeus's mind, Zeus's head, just like Athena. So
okay,
the
just
kid,
like the Roman mythology.
well, yeah, exactly. So my son is, and of course I believe that he's been brainwashed by his mother, who really has a tremendous grudge against me and always wanted to prove to the world that I was insane. In fact, that's the big thing, that they're accusing me of being insane.
Well, you seem pretty sane to me, sir. You're a very colorful person, but you seem very sane.
Well, thank you very much. I am totally sane, not only completely perfectly sane, but a superior genius.
Okay.
And so this is the argument that I will have in court. And I'm looking forward to going to court because there's nothing more wonderful than than proving to a jury that you're sane, and proving your ex-wife and your son total lying bastards and ungrateful scumbags. I mean, nothing can please me more than going to war with those.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that your family fell apart like that.
Well, you never know what's going to happen in this life, and of course I gave them everything. I even gave my wife, my ex-wife, a play to produce, and she fired me as the director of the play, hired another guy, and produced it off Broadway. I found this play from a friend of mine, or a fellow BFA college graduate from Carnegie Mellon, where I graduated. And Richard Sanders, the guy who originated the role of Les Nessman on WKRP in Cincinnati later on, was a fellow classmate of mine at Carnegie Mellon. And anyway, Mary Jo wanted to do a children's play up at my son's Montessori school, and so she wanted to do Pinocchio or Cinderella or something like that and have me direct it. And so anyway, I didn't want to do anything just normal and regular because I'm not a normal, regular guy. As I say, I'm a superior genius, so I want something to reflect my genius.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden, my friend shows up and he says, I happen to have written a children's play. It was called Dr. Needle and the Infectious Laughter Epidemic. And I said, man, let me read that son of a bitch. That sounds great. And so I read it. I loved the thing. And so that's the play we reproduced. Mary Jo produced and I directed up at my son's Montessori school. So it became a tremendous success. It made about $8,000 for the school.
Okay.
And so Mary Jo fired me as the director, hired another guy, produced it off Broadway, and I went berserk.
And Mary Jo is your ex-wife.
That's right, that's right. So Mary Jo basically is so vicious that she will do anything to destroy me in any way she possibly can. She couldn't really make any money off me from that Dr. Needle show, so that's why she could humiliate me and emasculate me in that way.
Well, how long were you guys married?
10 years.
10
A little
years?
more than 10 years, yeah.
And how did you meet?
Well, I was playing JFK in a play called McBird with Stacy Keach off Broadway. And she came to see it, and Cleavon Little happened to be in it. You know who Cleavon Little is? You ever heard of this guy?
Anyway, I apologize, I have not.
Okay, well anyway, he played the role that Richard Pryor was supposed to play in Blazing Saddles. Have you ever seen Blazing Saddles?
I have not seen it, but I've heard of it. Mel Brooks is a genius. I need to see it.
Yeah, well, it's quite, it's the one where the farting is going on, around the campfire.
I loved Spaceballs, which was the same director.
I love that too. Isn't that incredible? I mean, he's great at taking off on, he took off on Star Wars for Spaceballs.
Yeah.
And of course, Blazing Saddles is just sort of, a takeoff on all Westerns. And, so it's got every cliche in the book. And but anyway, Cleavon Little was also in the cast of the McBird. See, McBird was a play that was sort of a takeoff on Macbeth and Johnson. It was sort of an accusation that Johnson killed JFK in order to take over the presidency. It was a coup.
Okay.
It's what I believe in.
One of the conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories that I happen to agree with.
Okay.
But anyway, I played JFK in it, and Stacy Keach played McBird, and Rue McClanahan. Remember from the Golden Girls? Anyway, she was one of the Golden Girls.
I remember the Golden Girls.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, she was one of the Golden Girls, and she played Lady McBird. Lady Bird Johnson. That's why it was McBird.
Okay.
And anyway, Mary Jo came to see the play, and naturally, I'm brilliant. I'm a brilliant actor, and so she saw a gold mine up there, and so she decided, hey, because Mary Jo likes money, as most women do, and all but Karina, by the way. Karina is one woman in the world who doesn't love money beyond anything else. Anyway,
okay.
And she's my guardian angel.
Of course.
Yeah,
she's helping you out.
She is. She's the one without whom I would never have gotten this lawsuit going. She's the indispensable woman, I call her. This indispensable person. Anyway, I love you, Karina. Okay. What the hell was I talking about?
Yeah, well, you were talking about Karina. She's off camera.
All right.
Okay, so you haven't talked to Christian Slater since the late 80s.
Yeah.
And what about your ex-wife, Mary Jo? When was the last time you talked to her?
I was living with a woman up in Washington Heights. She had a house there, and we met. She was a nurse, and I'd been a security guard, at her hospital. So we hit it off. We lived together for 9 years. And anyway, Mary Jo wanted some money from me. We had a what do you call it? A fund that
like a trust.
That's right. That what do you call it? Matured. And so Mary Jo wanted my half of it because whatever money she could get out of me, she would try to scrounge. And she took 90% of my salary when I was making those soap operas and the Did I tell you I was in the lead on a Broadway show also?
You did not tell me that.
Okay, yes, I played Dr. Watson in Sherlock Holmes in the Royal Shakespeare Company's production of Sherlock Holmes for a year.
Impressive.
Yeah. So Anyway, so whatever money I made, though, but again, Mary Jo was my agent at the time. Because my name was Michael Hawkins and her name was Mary Jo Slater.
Okay.
So no one knew that we were married, and so she could sell me, and she sold me as both as Brando and Olivier combined, and everyone bought it because Mary Jo is one of the great liars of all time. Except in this particular case,
Okay.
she didn't exaggerate in this case, but in every other case she does exaggerate. Because I am the combination of Brando and Olivier.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, I did those shows and gave her not only the 10% of an agent salary, but the rest of 80% also, because I was interested basically in the acting, in learning, and in the experience, because that's who I am. I'm an actor, and I love the science of acting.
Yeah. I can see that.
So as far as the money is concerned, I always thought I'd continue to make money for the rest of my life. But when I gave Mary Jo that $1,600 that was the matured fund, and she'd been sending me scripts and stuff like that, to entice me into giving her the money, because she was a casting director. She'd actually have the scripts delivered to me by special messenger in a car, to my door.
Wow.
With the woman I was living in. But the thing was, you see, that once she got the money, then she dismissed me completely and pretended that I didn't exist anymore.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, sir, why did you guys divorce?
When I got fired from Ryan's Hope, that was the third soap opera I'd been fired from.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
So, yeah. And the reason I got fired from soap operas is because I couldn't figure out how to beat the director. Because directors want to act your role for you. And the problem that you have is that
Well, they want to
directors,
direct your role, yeah.
well,
They
not
want
only
to
direct it, but they want to force you to do it their way. And
Yeah.
so the point is, you either do it their way, the wrong way, or your own way, the right way. So you have to see, if you don't do it their way, you're insubordinate, and you can be
Okay.
brought up on charges.
Okay.
So I couldn't figure out how to beat the motherfuckers.
Okay.
I couldn't understand how to transcend the stupidity of a director. And to tell you the truth,
So there
to
was
me-
personality conflicts.
well, it's simply a directorial conflict, because all directors are the same.
Okay.
They're idiots, but they think they're geniuses.
Okay.
And so they think they can act a role better than you, but they can't act at all. I mean, I'm the one who has to learn the fucking lines, not them. So
Well, I would agree that the actor breathes and fleshes out the character a lot more than the director, but the director has to combine all the elements together. So,
well, that's bullshit.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair
that's
enough.
bullshit. Because
I respect your opinion,
well,
sir.
the thing is, I don't know. Are you an actor?
I've directed a couple of movies.
Okay, well, you're a pompous ass too, then.
Okay,
In
well,
other
fair
words-
enough, sir. Fair enough, sir.
You see, control freaks and power mad assholes are always become directors.
Well,
Okay,
no,
so-
I mean, I did some low-budget films, and I used student actors from University of West Florida, and my experience with working with actors is sometimes they would say, I don't like the dialogue in this script, so I was free, and I didn't mind. I was open-minded enough to allow people to ad-lib if they felt like it worked better, and I would do multiple takes and try to work with the actor. It's always a compromise, especially when you're clashing with personalities, but hopefully you come together and make something beautiful. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, a director's job basically is to say, look, this is what I'd like the piece to look like. Okay, then you guys, you see, like John Huston, for instance, used to say, look, I hire the actor who's going to do the best fucking job for me. Then I
Okay.
leave the guy alone
Fair
to
enough.
do the damn job, because I tell him what I want
Yeah.
to see, and then it's up to him to give it to me. I mean, his way. Okay, I mean, the problem is directors don't always tell you, are trying to tell you how to do it their way. Look, I believe that all directors are sadists at heart.
Okay.
Okay,
Fair
and
enough.
all actors are masochists.
Okay.
Yes, because they don't care about being treated like scum.
Okay.
And they sort of get a kick out of it. But I grew out of that.
Okay.
So I finally got to the point where I don't want to take any more shit from any director. But anyway, curiously enough, I figured out how to beat the sons of bitches.
How?
It's a secret. It's a trick. It took me
Okay.
50 years to figure it out, and I'm not telling you.
Okay.
No,
Fair
but
enough.
I told my son,
Oh, you did?
And he didn't give me any credit for telling him when he used it for his own benefit.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So again, he takes credit for what I did for him, and and my wife takes credit for what I gave to her. But they don't acknowledge me, and they give me no credit for it. And not only that, but they treat me like I'm insane. And they even said so in the National Enquirer, and that's why we have proof that the sons of bitches, have been after me for the last 30 years. That's why I'm suing him for $30 million, $1 million a year.
Well, I wanted to ask you about the National Enquirer article. So you're no longer an actor, or are you still acting?
Well, listen, you don't stop being an actor. Let me tell you that. You die on the stage. I mean, Tyrone Power died in the movies. Okay, making a movie. Okay, and Yul Brynner had to take over the part in Solomon and Sheba. Okay, so actors never stop acting. I mean, I'm the greatest actor who ever lived, and no one will give me a job because Mary Jo has poisoned the entire casting director community. That's the thing.
Okay.
You understand? And so the reason that we have a case is because Karina got the National Enquirer to interview me and to take down exactly what I said, and they printed this, and they also interviewed Mary Jo and Christian, and they came back with their Freudian epithets against me, and neither one of them graduated from high school, so they can go fuck themselves.
Fair enough. I totally understand you being bitter about that. I mean, Karina said that she had met you at a food pantry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
amazing.
You'd been seeking social services, and you'd been homeless for a while.
Well, exactly. I'm a destitute bastard. I still am. I got $9.34 in the bank in my checking account now.
So I would think that that's pretty cool and pretty greedy that your son supposedly worth $40 million.
That's right.
And he won't even help you out.
That's right.
Getting an apartment.
That's right. That's right.
And
he's an ungrateful bastard.
I mean, despite your differences, you're still family. You should never leave family to die in the street. That's what I say. And that's what intrigued me about.
Tell it to the Marines.
Tell it to the Marines. Okay.
Because Mary Jo and Christian don't listen.
Fair enough. And you'll have your day in court, sir.
That's right. That's the idea. That's right. Exactly right. Because I have to prove to the law, and the law has to be promulgated, in other words, published throughout the entire show business world. And so far, it's the most amazing thing that the news media completely ignores it. And the news media, of course, votes 100% Democrat, the way all show business people do. So, unfortunately, they're in cahoots, and they're trying to pretend that I don't exist.
Well, I think it has more. It's not necessarily Democrat or Republican. It's more corporate agenda.
Well, if you don't know that the show business community votes 100% Democrat, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm not talking about whether they vote Democrat or Republican. I'm talking about news media has a corporate agenda.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. All I can tell you is that there is no such thing as somebody in the news media that does not vote Democrat. Period. End of story. Even on Fox News.
Fair enough. I respect your opinion, sir.
Well, I appreciate your respecting my opinion, even though you don't agree with one fucking thing I've ever said. But no, I'm just kidding.
I do agree with a lot of what you said. I'm very open-minded. I don't agree necessarily with everything. I'm a straightforward person. I don't agree necessarily with everything you said, but that's why I give you an opportunity to state your mind.
Well, exactly.
And you're very charismatic, and you're very colorful, and you're very entertaining.
Oh, thank you.
And so I could see why you were an actor.
Well, there you go. I'm a brilliant actor. Incredible. People, I can't believe I'm that good.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and I have your permission to use this on amberstreet.com?
Absolutely.
This is Steampunk Star Raisin, amberstreet.com. You have a nice day, and I will see you 25 billion years. I will.
As long as I'm living.